Yo guys, what is good? Welcome back on the Uncle Sharma channel. Here we are today for a big match preview. Derby della Madonnina, Derby di Milano, Milan Derby, whatever you guys want to call it. We are here to preview tomorrow's big match, San Siro, 5 p.m. And to join me to do it is a guy who's been on the channel before. And if you're on Twitter, I'm sure you must know about him. Some say he looks like Matteo Politano. Some say he looks like Matty Dams, but we know him as Martino Puccio. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me on, man. This was right around last time this year, I think. Last year, this time, I was on. I think we did the Coppa Italia one though, right? Was that what
Yeah,
it was? It
yeah,
was a Coppa
exactly.
Italia preview, and you were getting mad at me kinda because you thought I was trying to jinx it by saying you guys were going to win the title, but I said, listen, I am. I'm not trying to be biased at all or try. I don't do that jinx stuff. So I mean, obviously it came true. So yeah, I mean, it's glad to be back. Happy you have me.
No, yeah, thank you, and yeah, good shout out to the previous appearance that you had on the channel, and yeah, you were spot on. Obviously, I had to do my thing about, and my annoyance was more about, you know, maybe I thought that Milanisti were just trying to underplay their expectations, which I feel like is happening again this year.
I mean, it just like it depends on the person, I guess. Like I don't like it. For me, I didn't see anything that happened over the summer that would say, "Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna like win the title this year." There were some fans that actually did think that. And even Maldini came out as the director saying, like the goal is top four and
Mhm.
all that stuff. But I think the funny thing is that the players shouldn't think like that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think that's a bad mentality. When people, whether there's like fans on Twitter that keep going, "Oh yeah, you have an awful mentality. You don't think we're gonna win the title." I was like, my mentality doesn't matter. What I think is going to happen has no bearing on what happens on the pitch. If I think we're going to lose, that has no impact on that. You think Sandro Tonali's looking at my tweets? No, he's not. He did like none of these guys are, and they
Oh,
shouldn't.
maybe.
I mean, if
You
they
got a
are,
blue
then
tick
that's a
now,
big.
man. You got the blue check now.
Yeah, listen, if they are looking at that stuff, then that's a bigger issue. Um, but yeah, like this is it's totally different for what you and I think and what the players think. Because the difference is at the end of the day, as long as the players have that championship mentality, that's all that matters. Because we can say and do what we want. As much NFT in the house, ready? Finance it? Yeah, no. I mean, no amount of NFTs can finance what he wants.
Hey man, you're Twitter famous after that. Thank you to Carlos.
Yeah, that's literally what it was. And Wally.
But yeah, no, we you already kind of mentioned it in terms of what happened in the summer. What about what happened just now in the January? Let's quickly cover that off. Not much really happened.
It's so it
Lazetic came
yeah,
in, and
no.
then what? How
Mm-hmm.
many people left? Like two or three guys left.
Conti left. Samu must have turned down like 50 offers. Pleat said he left. You remember him, superhuman starlet at the time,
Hmm.
where everyone was saying he was as good as Gijo.
Oh, the goalkeeper.
The goalkeeper. Yep.
Oh yeah,
See,
yeah, yeah.
he played for the U21s or whatever one it was for the World Cup when Lorenzo Colombo was on that team.
Hmm.
Esposito might have been on it. If it wasn't him, it was another Inter youngster that I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it's like guys like that left. Is Oh well, thank you, sir. Nice of you. But yeah, I mean, Lasetic was the guy who came in. But it's just funny to me because of the whole perspective of the fan base is like, first, we're broke. Second, we don't spend enough money. And thirdly, they're not getting the players that they want. Meanwhile, Roman Favier, like, that was one of the players over the summer that they were linked to, and he didn't end up going there because of him forcing himself out of a match towards the end of August, which Brest didn't like. So they refused to sail, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's because we didn't cough up more money." It's like, well, you didn't know about him a couple of days ago, but now you know
Hmm.
about him, and now you like him, and now that we lose out on the target, you hate him, and then if they sign a target like Lasetic, they already hate him because it wasn't the guy that they wanted, even though they didn't know who he was. I still don't really know who he is like that, because I think he played under Stankovic. Is Stankovic still coaching over at Crvena Zvezda, which is just Red Star, just renamed.
Oh, look at you
So
with the spelling there.
so to me, I think that long term it could work out, but a lot of fans are looking at it in the short term because
Hmm.
you can't go off of a 17-year-old for the next 6 months. Like that's unfair to him. It's ridiculous in general because what do they want? If he does anything over the course of 6 months, it's already a good deal in the sense that like of his impact this season. Because for me, I'm not expecting anything. Although he could get some minutes already this weekend.
Has it been announced? Is he going to be part of your main squad, or is he going
He's a
in the
main
youth
squad.
team?
He's a main squad player.
Oh, okay.
Because they already said like his manager, the directors at Red Star were basically saying, yeah, like he has everything he needs right now. He's just not there in terms of experience yet because
Hmm.
you can only get so much experience at 17. And it's like one thing when Donnarumma's out there like Mbappe, but at 17, I think he's physically almost there.
Hmm.
Um, I don't think the finishing is there at all from stuff that I've seen. And it's not to say that it won't be. He's 17. He has the technical ability, but we're talking about Milan here. It's a
Yeah.
big jump, and to play with Giroud, to play with Zlatan, even Rebic, it would be an option there. I mean, it's just going to be Giroud for this weekend because those two are out. Um, yeah, I mean, listen, again, it's a lot of the deals earned for the long term, and a lot of good deals that this management has made has come in January. Kier, a lot of people don't like Salamakers, but again, that's under 10 million euros for a player that has made that sort of impact. That's
Hmm.
still a pretty good deal, whether or not you rate him, and even Tamori as well, because everyone was freaking out last time about, oh, we're not getting the targets like Simakan and I think Toribo was the other one, and then they end up getting Fick, and look what happens. So again, I wouldn't go off of what the fans think because they're so hot and cold. And the funnier thing was too is that everyone thought like top four is in jeopardy. Then I put out a poll. I was like, I'm just interested to see this because the roller coaster of emotions. It was like 80% of fans thought they were still going to make top four. So it's like, what are we freaking out about then? If we know we have an appeals meeting with UEFA this summer, because everything hinges on that. It's not just top four. What does UEFA do? Because we already got kicked out of a competition.
What's the
All right.
appeal for FFP?
I think it's just they came to an agreement. Yeah, it's an FFP thing. When they got kicked out of the competition, they said we'll talk in a little bit. But they've obviously significantly slashed their wages from
Mm.
tons of players. It's gone down into half. I think Roma has higher salary payments to players than we do. We're kind of in that Atalanta like model at the moment where it's like low cost players that are really talented and we develop them. Um, yeah, but we'll see what happens. No one knows. I mean, there's a lot of appeals all the time. They've done a great job of getting rid of all their debt. Debt and losses are two different things. People don't get that because, again, they like to be financial accountants, even though that's like I don't know what they think. But again, yeah, I mean, it hinges on that. Do they factor in the pandemic? Because we've been there for 2 years. We just hosted Juve and we only had 5,000 fans max. The amount of fans that would show up to a game like that, you sell out a whole stadium. That's a lot of money lost. And I think Scaroni was saying like we lost 5 million euros for that. That's the amount we paid for Lasetic. So just to kind of show the comparison for that. So again, like fans wanted to take another risk, but it's like we took risk 2 summers in a row, and look what it did to us. You want to take
Mhm.
another one and set us back even further because they get FOMO, fear of missing out, because you guys are winning again. You have 2 trophies since last year. Juve still constantly wins. And again, like that's what they kind of look at. And that's what I was trying to tell people. You have to worry about yourself. If you start looking at other people and what they're doing, then it's only going to mess yourself up because that's what they tried doing with the year in 2017 with the Chinese summer. They said, here's a quarter of a billion euros and go and spend it. And it's going to be like 0 players are going to be there after the season since Kessie is more than likely not renewing. So that's, it's the logic
But
of the fans.
it's yeah. I mean, you've made some great points there. But what the work? This is probably the most praise I'm going to give you in the stream. Like what Maldini has done, what Pioli has done. I keep saying like
Yeah.
it's just amazing what he's done. Like you're scarily similar at the moment comparing. You're on exactly the same points as you were last season.
Hmm.
And you've conceded less goals and you scored 2 more goals. So your team, you're spending less money, you're cutting down wages, but you're performing even better year on year. Like it's just, I think it's just a miracle, like what Pioli has been doing up until now.
And they still try and discredit him because they're always going by the falling off of what he usually did at past jobs. And I just try to tell people this is also the most talented group of players that he's ever had. When has he had a group that he's able to work with that is sustainable? When he was at Inter, everyone knows it. Like that wasn't a sustainable squad to win with. Was there some talent around there? Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, it still doesn't compare to what he has now. At Lazio, like, look, I mean, he got them to that playoff, which I think they ended up losing to Mönchengladbach at the time. When Serie A just had the 3 spots, and the 3rd spot went to the playoff instead of top 4. So again, like I think he's earned that respect. It's been almost 2.5 seasons now, and people are still trying to discredit it. And he's done a great job, but at the same time, it's going to come down to winning because that's what the club is supposed to be about. And you can get away with this kind of stuff for a couple seasons because there's worked in excuses because you literally can't do anything with FFP. Your club has dealt with that as well.
Hmm.
So again, I think they've done a great job. I know people like to harp on the lack of sales and players walking for free, but I think some of it's circumstantial for sure. But listen, if you want to rip him for some of those sales, then I get it. But I never understood ripping him for Hakan or Gijo leaving because if they sell those two, they're not making top 4 last year. It's just not going to happen. Like Gijo was by far, in a way, the best keeper. He saved I don't know how many points. As inconsistent as Hakan was, he was still playing well at times. So that was a valuable piece. You couldn't just go with Brahim Diaz and try and spend more money in the window. Like you were only going to get so much money from 2 players that had 1 year left on their deal. And one of the players was not even going to be affordable for a lot of clubs. Like how many players and clubs, or how many clubs would have bought Gijo last year that could afford it and Milan are okay with selling to? Like 3, maybe 3. It was really just down to PSG at that point because they were the only ones coming in with actual concrete offers. There was the rumors of Juve, but that was in free agency. That had nothing to do with them selling to him because why would they sell him to Juve? It would make no sense. They wouldn't sell him to Inter either. It would have to be highway robbery money that would set them up forever. It wouldn't be anything like that. So again, I mean, the Kessie thing to like again, if they had offers on the table in January, who's going to buy them?
Hmm.
Because if him and his agent want to hit free agency, we see Dusan getting disgusting amounts of agent commissions. We're going to see what's going to happen with Mino Raiola and Erling Haaland. The commissions, I'm sure, are going to be around 20 million euros. That was what the rumor was. So what is so hard about these agents and players just rejecting Spurs? That's not hard. They don't want to go to Spurs, so
Hmm.
they could hold out for even more money in 6 months, and you're still at Milan, and you help them get top 4. There's been worse things for players to do. So yeah,
Yeah, we've even got some Juve fans in the house. Lex was in earlier. They got G just Juve in the house. Beppe, he's
Pepe.
supporting both teams. Obviously, he wants to draw. Yeah, those scrubs are still trying to make top 4. So they've got
Still
different.
7 points behind. And listen, I mean, a draw was really bad for them against us. I gotta say, like straight up, like
Bro, yeah, I could not believe the fact that Juve they went for the draw. I mean, I can't believe it because it's Allegri, but the fact that they actually went out for the draw, like you need the win and you go out there and you get 0 shots on target, like embarrassing for me watching that game. Interesting question here for me from the game man's who asks, like over the years, it was always, the other way around of, a lot of Inter players going to Milan. How did it feel about, with Hakan? I already know what kind of feelings it is, but what's your answer to this question?
well, listen, I get where you're coming from. But if you just read off the 2 names at the start of
Yeah,
that to begin
yeah.
with, it's no offense. I'm not trying to rag on you guys. It's not even a comparison. You gave
No,
us
no.
2 of the top 15 midfielders of all time, and we won what we won. Hakan was, who knows if he still joins Inter if Eriksson didn't have that situation happen to him. I think it's doubtful. Yes. Well, that one meme, I mean, there's at least like 30,
Yeah,
but
it is that guy.
But listen, I mean, Kessie would be the bigger blow in my opinion than Hakan would be. Hakan is it's so situational with that type of player because I said this when you're the number 10 and only attacking midfielder for Milan in this kind of Renaissance type era where they're trying to get back to what they used to be, there's way more pressure on you than being the fifth or sixth best player on Inter without that jersey number. Like it's a lot. There's a lot less pressure with it,
Hmm.
and it's not to say that he hasn't played poor. He was poor to start the season. Then the derby happened, and then he's arguably been probably top 5 player in the league since. I don't think it's hard to argue that. Um, but again, it would hurt me if he was as good for us as he's been for Inter right now, which wasn't the
Hmm.
case.
No.
We saw over 3.5 years of the only time where he was good was during stretches. It was never from match day 1 to match day 38 where he's absolutely been our top 3 player. That was never the case. There were instances where he was fantastic, where he was doing a lot of good, but he's a very mental player. So if you get him in the proper environment, which I believe he's in right now, and he's supposed to be in the prime of his career, it's good for him. And again, you know, there are better players, and he did say it. I wasn't a fan of that comment. I think he could say it if it's towards the Milan fans. I just think it comes off disrespectful to guys that he used to work with and had a daily relationship with. But I kind of get where he was coming from because it's true. A lot of spots in the air, like Alexis Salamakers, wouldn't see the pitch for Inter. I get it. That's who he's feeding. He's feeding, Rebic shows up for half the year. Leao
Hmm.
was like 2021. How much are you going to expect out of him? And then we had one striker who was 39 that showed up half the time, and they didn't have a great relationship either. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's on that level. And listen, Zlatan was still a lot of fans in your fan base. I'm sure they don't want to admit it. He was better for Inter than he was for Milan, even though he's amazing for Milan too. But like the level, the amount of time that you had him during his peak was a lot longer than Milan had him because it was really just 2 seasons, and he left and then he came back and he was still productive, late 30s, early 40s. So
Hmm. I don't know. I've thought about that one. I feel like that that era, like Zlatan was. I think he achieved this potential, like when he was at Milan, like he was more complete. Um, I don't know. I'll have to think about
there
that
was
one
more
more
motive. I
deeply.
think he had more motivation behind him when he arrived at Milan because of the situation at Barcelona, and then coming back
Yeah.
to Serie A. And I think the accomplishments that you guys had after he left were the club's greatest accomplishment of all time, which is the treble. So like that impacts players. That
Yeah.
impacts
Yeah.
them. It just like you go, someone comes in and they did more without you than they did with you, and that stings. And hey, they ended up winning the title. They ended
Hmm.
up winning the Supercopa against them. Milan is an American. Is that not Carlos? Because I wouldn't be shocked if it was.
Well, you would have said Italian.
That's true. That's true.
Oh yeah, Beppe, we're giving you the King of Mercato trophies on the. It's on the way to you in
The
the
king of the
post.
king of Merca. Yeah, you had a lot of competition for Vlahovic, Beppe. Right? There's so many.
Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal. He just wanted to stay in Italy, and everyone else couldn't afford him. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's the easiest signing.
But at the same time, he's being very gracious. Thank you very much, Beppe. Um, as much as I dislike the team that he supports, I must have to say I look to Beppe as my source of inspiration and like my kind of guide in this whole YouTube thing. So I very much appreciate your little donation there. Um, yeah, Milan next season, you guys are going to get Pobega back most likely. So yeah, you've already got the Kessie replacement by the looks of it. Um, yeah, we've talked about Mercato stuff like that. Let's get into like talking about the actual match and stuff, man.
Mm.
Let me get the predicted lineups up for tomorrow from Sky Sports Italia, which usually are pretty reliable. Actually, let's start off with you guys. Um, Pretty much is that what you're expecting from
Hmm.
most of the predicted lineups? The other ones I saw put
Yeah.
Kessie in the attacking mid
Oh
position.
yeah. That's the one that I saw.
Yeah.
That's the more recent one. With Kessie as the 10, they have Benacer with the double pivot and Tonali. The rest
Hmm.
is right. Because Rebic and Zlatan are out. I think Rebic would have started if he was healthy for this because I
Hmm.
think they want to. I was talking to this with Alex Stano on another podcast, Kicks or Picks. And they were saying, I was
Oh,
just
so Rebic
saying,
is out completely. Okay.
yeah, he's out. Yeah. So what happened was, I was like, do they want to sacrifice pressing for hold up play with Giroud, or do
Hmm.
they want to have that pressing in there to kind of keep the pressure on Inter? Now Inter's in a massive advantage. I think this is an easy win for Inter, to be quite honest with you, if Brahim starts. I don't see how this puts them in a position that they could win with that, because you're one of the more physical teams in the league.
Hmm.
He is not strong with the ball whatsoever. I think he's one of the weaker players that starts consistently, especially on all the top starting teams. Yeah, he is injured, Balkan Warrior. They said he picked up something. Yeah, it's all season long. He's just had injuries. He was out for nearly like 6 weeks, and he came back and played in a couple matches, and now this happens. So yeah, for me, I think if Kessie starts, it's fantastic. It worked well when we played Empoli, which we smacked them, which was a little surprising because a lot of people were feeling down in that moment because there was those stretch of matches with Sassuolo and Fiorentina where they dropped points, and it kind of shaped to where the league is at right now. Yeah, Tomori had a procedure done on his meniscus. I don't think he's worth risking whatsoever, because people are like, yeah, we don't have him for the Derby. It was like, yeah, it sucks for not having him for the Derby, but it would suck more if you don't have him for a couple months. So you can't risk anything. Let him heal. Kalulu's done solid enough. Romagnoli is what he is at this point. I think he's adequate. It's just, yeah, it's one of the weaker pairings that they could have, but you got to do with what you have. Listen, Liao, I think, can have a great impact again if there's Kessie pressing and occupying the space centrally. If Inter can do what Juve was doing at a certain point when there was no threat centrally or on the right side, where you just have to worry about Leao, Dumfries isn't going to have that much of an issue. He could just have someone help him out and double Leao at that time. Because if it's just one-on-one with Dumfries and Leao, if Dumfries is starting, then I think it's going to be difficult for him, because we all know Dumfries is much better going forward than he is as a defender, which is, that happens with wingbacks and fullbacks in modern football. So it's not a big deal. But I think that's really just the key matchup. If Liao can't do anything one-on-one, and if they have him having a more difficult time, one, I don't think you concede. Two, I don't really see how you don't take advantage of those counterattacks and the possession at that time, because it's going to go through one side, and that's the left side. So yeah, I think right now with the 11 that's on the screen, that's a clear win for Inter, and it's annoying because I don't think that's what they should be doing.
Interesting. Do you think the Kessie move at 10 would be probably just to try and like really focus down on Brozovic as well? Like, how
Yeah.
Juve have been doing with Kulusevski.
Yep.
You think that's going to be
I
that
think
type
I
of
think
vibe?
I think that's the type of move. And again, like how could you not do that? Because I still think he's the strongest midfielder in the league. He's one of the
Hmm.
stronger ones in Europe. Like, try something different. Like, at this point, we kind of have nothing to lose, in the sense of, like, if we lose this, the title's over with. You still have a match in hand. And listen, like, we've got Juve out of the way. We're gonna have you out of the way, and then for the rest of the season, it's a pretty fair schedule. We got the difficult fixtures out of the way because of Roma as well, who we already beat. So I say go for it, because also at the same time, there's like this weird aura that it kind of doesn't feel like a derby for a lot of Milan fans. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people don't view it as anything can happen type thing. It's a lot of bad vibes because of the recent results in past years. It's been all Inter for the most part. We got the one win last season when you were still missing some players, and Kolarov had one of the worst derbies I've ever seen.
Oh, bro,
Um,
don't remind me.
yeah, well, that one, and then we point to Coppa Italia and a 3-0 one where Alex scored a goal, and then there was the Cutrone game. That's really it. That's like, those are the highlights. There was the draw when we got bought by the Chinese in 2017 with Romagnoli and Zapata, which was just, it was like the dumbest thing. That's a derby, when anything can happen with that. Like Scudetto, I forgot who scored in that one, but it was him that got the late header to draw
Yeah.
that match. It just doesn't feel like that lately. I think we've done better against you guys than in past years, but there's that mental edge that you guys have over us that Juve had over you for years.
Hmm.
And funnily enough, we have been so good against Juve for the past couple seasons for whatever reason. And the only loss really came when we had to play Calabria in the midfield. So for me, I think this is more of a mental test than a tactical one for me. So
Would you
yeah,
say though this is, I don't know if you think like this is it a bigger game for Milan, this one? Isn't it? I would say it's probably because if you lose this, then you're
it's over.
definitely
It's
it's
over.
over.
It's over. It's over.
And then it's also like a big, it gives you that confidence hit where even your top four race then starts to become, you starts to look behind to Juve and Atalanta maybe catching up. So whereas for Inter, yes, of course we need to we have to win this game to make a statement. But if Inter, even if we, God forbid, lose this, is not as a big deal because we still have that game in hand over everyone else. So for you
It's
guys, it's
just
definitely
I
bigger.
think for you it's setting the tone for the month because it's the most difficult month of the season. And
Yeah.
it's really like if you set the tone with a win, Liverpool is going to be really hard in the first
Hmm.
place. It's harder without Barella. And now that they, they're like, oh, well, yeah, Mane and Salah will be playing in the final. It's like, yeah, they just got Luis Diaz.
Hmm.
So they probably just, who I think is probably better than Mane at this point, even though Mane has had a bounce back season. But Diaz is, I mean, that guy's insane. I don't put mind games. Inter does not do that. And they don't. Yeah, I agree with that with the current form, but again, I think this is just on top of it. I haven't really highlighted as much as the center back pairing.
Yeah.
This is a huge advantage for you guys. It's a really big deal to have that at your disposal.
But no
As
one seems to take advantage of it. Also, it seems like you somehow muddled through it. Like even against Juve, you somehow just kind of like managed to go through with like
well,
these.
like I've highlighted often, Empoli have more goals than Juve this season.
Yeah.
It's where we're at. It's where we're at with that.
But as in, like,
So
Kiera's been missing for a while. Tomori's been missing for a few weeks. Like, and you still just kind of managed. Like, I don't know if Inter would be able to just manage through without like Skriniar, De Vrij, or Bastoni like being injured.
no, because I don't. I think Ranocchia is like I don't know. It would be depending on who he would come with. But like if you lost the amount of center backs that we did, like it would be a completely different league. But
Mm.
obviously, it's not the case. So it's not. It doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think the matchups have been good. I don't think we've faced some juggernauts in the in terms of offensively. The best team that we have in terms of all these absences was Roma.
Hmm.
And even then, I don't really like them as a team. I never did. I was never on that train. I thought it was a bunch of Mourinho hype, which has been ringing true for a little bit. But yeah, I mean, listen, this is the toughest attack that they're going to be facing. You guys, I believe, still have the most goals in the league, correct?
Yeah,
So
we're first, you're second.
yeah, there you go. And even the Correa absence wouldn't worry me. Alexis Sanchez, he might be absent for this. Is that what I correct from hearing, or he might not be 100% to play tomorrow?
Well, so it's that's the doubt is between him and Lautaro, but they both just came back from South America from their qualifiers. But both of them coming in nice form. Sanchez scored two against Bolivia. Lautaro scored two in two different
Yeah,
matches.
yeah, he's been great for that. I
But
know.
yeah,
I read
Lautaro
a
is favorite to start at the moment.
which he should because that pressing is disgusting by him. Yeah, see this lineup all around. I mean, this is like one of the stronger ones that you could put out, anyways. Like if you really look at it, like who are you missing? Nobody.
Yeah, this is in theory our strongest lineup. Yeah, but this is something that we can talk about. But I just don't see these two, Dzeko and Martinez. I just never haven't seen them all apart from actually the Milan derby itself, where they kind of linked up quite decently. They showed some chemistry in there, but the whole season, I just never feel like these guys have got any chemistry, any link up going, any type of
I
understanding.
think it's set pieces for you here. So if you get a good set piece, Kalulu is not a tall player,
Hmm.
obviously. So under 6 foot, that's already a problem with Jekko. Romagnoli in general, like one on ones is misery, right? I don't dislike the player. I think a lot of people just don't understand that like the level of standard that should be at
Hmm.
the club. That's the difference. Um, Lautaro does a lot of good things. I wonder how much pressure he puts on himself after. I'll be quite honest, it was a poor derby from him the first time out. I think that penalty could linger a little bit in his head. You never know. And
Hmm.
Hakan, again, that's the X factor. I'm not worried about any other player on this pitch. Hakan is, and Alex Dono brought up this good point because he knows him from the Milan days. This guy has a poor performance, say it happens, that could be a downward spiral type thing for him. Just like he was on the up and up because he had a great performance, it could go that direction. And he played well in that. He wasn't dominant in that derby like some people wanted to point that. That's just, I think that was like a banter thing back and forth. I don't think anyone was truly dominant in that match. I think that was one of the more even ones that I can remember as a whole 90 minutes.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I think of majority probably. I would say Inter had probably 60% or 70% of that match. Then you guys, like in the last 10, 15 minutes, you woke up and yeah,
That
you
was like it was the most bizarre thing because it was weird because we weren't used to Inter being like that over the past like 16 months or whatever it was because they completely changed mentality wise. But it kept like there were like mental lapses. Either that was like Milan trying to close the gap with that, and we could have won it too.
yeah, like
Towards the
literally
end, there was
Kessie at the end could have won it.
yeah, but apparently the XG geniuses on Twitter say he has no weaknesses in his game. But yeah, God forbid you look at that finish there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not too confident. Is Caicedo going to be an option for you guys within this one off the bench? Because
Yeah,
that again
yes.
is another really solid addition that you guys had, and he's one of the more clutch players in the league, especially with what he was doing with Lazio for under Inzaghi.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's gonna be available. He's had injury issues this whole season, but he's available and fit for this. So yeah, he could be a
Can you
guy that
imagine like how clear your mind is going from Genoa to Inter? Like
yeah,
that's the polar opposite of situations this
going
year.
literally from relegation to fighting for the Scudetto. So it must be yeah, just the zen for him. He just coming on with the cigar in his mouth and anything we've said like for Interisti, any like anything that he does positive is a bonus for us. Like I have zero
Because
expectation from
you paid nothing.
nothing.
He already comes into a formation that he's familiar with, so he doesn't
Hmm.
need really time to get acclimated outside of just the chemistry with some of the players. But yeah, I mean,
Oh,
oh, he's
apparently he
already
got a knock in training, which I didn't know about. But yeah, I think he's gonna be on the bench. So
probably he
yeah,
would be on the bench anyway. So like,
yeah.
if you get 10 minutes out of that, then 10 minutes is 10 minutes. So
Yeah. Is this true that you guys haven't conceded much from headers? I'm not sure about that one.
Not that I could remember. We haven't. Just the constant Kier quote that Carlos likes to pop up. It's like the IFTV graphic where Kier just says, "All we do is concede shit goals," and that's kind of what it's been like. It's just stupid, silly mental lapses. Where, I mean, like the Sassuolo game is probably the perfect one. Or even the Teo Hernandez when your former favorite player Dusan Vlahovic got the ball from him after he had that mental. There's just like a lot of mental lapses,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and to me, individual errors and mental lapse mistakes are probably the worst thing that you could have when you're going up against a team like Inter. So
But
that's so mentally
that's
tough.
where Inter have grown over the years. Like that's where the mentality has changed. We used to do the same thing. We still do it sometimes, but that's the one where well, if you manage to eliminate those silly mistakes that those lapses of concentration in the match, that's where the next step up is.
Which I've said so many times. I'm like, we're very similar to Inter's path, but Inter's like 2 years ahead. There's a difference. Like you got
Yeah,
in new owners before we did. You were getting better purchases and management sooner than we did, and it's showing. It's reflective in what's happening.
you need
Um,
Antonio Conte to come through and bring that mentality. I
yeah, I
think.
mean, like, listen, if he ever, I don't even think at this point it would be worth it. But I know you're messing around, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of the matchup on that the left hand side for you guys obviously is the strong point, but also the weak point at the same time, isn't it? Like Teo and obviously Leao are like probably the best left side in the league on the especially attacking
Offensively,
wise,
oh
offensively,
yeah.
but then defensively. With Romagnoli on that side as well, it kind of becomes a weak spot for you guys. So Dumfries is looks like he's favorited over your lookalike Darmian, which I'm actually happy about. Like I think now he's solidified himself. I know people, and I'm still, we're unsure about him defensively. Let's see, but this is when you find out, like against Leao, against Teo. Let's see how he handles these guys. But I think Dumfries can. I think like because Balotore was playing last time around, so Darmian
I
looked
forgot
good
about that
against.
too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, which they're already looking for a replacement for. Because of he's horrendous. But yeah, listen, I that's a big deal. I think Calabria is a big um return
Yeah,
for us.
definitely.
I think he's genuinely underrated. Uh, whether or not I think he's not a Champions League winning right back, I'll say that. I think that's pretty obvious. Could you win a Scudetto one day? Depends on the other players you build around and like they get a better striker, right winger. I'd say yeah. I mean we're in the hunt right now. It's not that far off.
Hmm.
Yeah, we don't have Don Beppe, but listen, man. I mean, just like who are our other options? you know.
Yeah, I mean Don Beppe, he wouldn't. He doesn't have. He still wouldn't have the budget there. So.
And the funny thing is too, it's like Maldini and Masada, this is their first like massive main job as directors as well. So there's a learning curve involved with that. Beppe was at Sampdoria before he
Hmm.
went to Juve. It's different when you just go, oh yeah, Milan. I mean, Masada worked under Sabatini, which is I still think he's one of the most underrated directors of these past 20 years, you could say. And I forget where he's at now.
Salernitana.
He is at they just hired him, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you know, it might not be Don Beppe, but we're making progress, and that's all that matters. I hope this one's a great match. I don't want a lopsided one. But I do think this is, and I'll also say this: if we were to win this one, I think it all but massively helps the top four chase. Again, with the title, it's funny to me because the 3 points that Inter picks up against Milan means way more in terms of winning the title than it does for Milan because Milan still
Yeah.
dropped points to terrible sides. Like the Spezia one again is the perfect example.
Hmm.
The Spezia 3 points count as much as the 3 points against Inter. That's a lot of people forget that. They all
Yeah.
count the same. They only matter so much when you break it down to the finer details of things.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't. What did you make up that game against Atalanta? You did, right?
Bologna. No, we have still haven't
It
made that
was
up. Yeah,
it was
we
the
still
Bologna
have that.
one. Okay, yeah. Which they're a mess right now too. So I think that January did not do them any favors. Don Pepe was overrated at Juve. I mean, listen, he got Juve to two Champions League finals. I don't know how overrated that was.
Yeah, Beppe is just he's well Beppe talking about Beppe, but yeah he's I think because obviously some of the inflated contracts that obviously over the years haven't helped, but if you look at his body of work, I think Beppe, yeah, as Indra says, a little bit of salt there. I think that I'm sure Beppe would take back Don Beppe straight away if he had the choice.
I
I mean, I know he's
mean,
on the Cherubini hype right now, but Cherubini,
listen,
Cherubini.
I respect him, and I thought he's made good, smart purchases. But all I gotta say is, Monkey could get in there and just say like Vlahovic, come to Juve. Like it's not. It was easy. There's no competition.
Yeah, he was literally there with his legs open, like,
And it was
please.
kind of and it's not to disrespect Juve or take anything away from them. And I was saying this, I say this to people all the time. It's a lot easier on the transfer market when two of your main competitors that would be there financially in the market are useless with Milan and Inter when they were doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
You
yeah,
know what I
we
mean?
were
Who are you
we were
competing
being dumb and
against?
dumber.
Exactly. It was a competition of who was like having funnier and awful moments. It's easier when it's just like, oh, your best option is Juve right now, and they have more money than Roma and Napoli, who were the only other sides that quality wise were progressing and doing better. Milan and Inter were a mess, and we saw what happened too. I think it was pretty obvious that you guys have made moves recently that Juve would have easily scooped up some of the play. Like Bastoni, like if Inter had no money for Bastoni, wouldn't have Bastoni have been at Juve by now? There's a good chance, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
how many other clubs would be going for that? So yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, anyway, bro, let's wrap up with some match
Predictions.
predictions. I am honestly, is the derby, the form usually doesn't count. I think you guys gonna fight for your lives. I think it's gonna be a draw again. I think
Really?
I'm gonna go for a 2-2 draw. It's gonna be a drama-filled derby again.
You think that many goals with this? I don't know if we scored two.
I
It's
don't know.
just it's To me, I know I'm so anal about this, but it really just depends on lineup. So I'll say this: Brahim lineup with the one that was shown. I think that's a win for Inter. Whether it's 1-0, 2-0, I don't think we score on that. If we
Mhm.
score, it'll be off a set piece. Pepe is 2-2. I just think there's too many goals for this. But again, derbies are derbies. Uh, but if we put Kessie in there, I think we have a shot. I think we have a shot to win. I think it would be a draw if that were to be the lineup out there. I
Mhm.
think currently as things go, it'll be a bit more even. If Inter score 4, we have bigger issues. So I'm hoping for a draw. I don't think a draw is awful for Milan, by the way. I gotta say, like that's for top 4 purposes.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're both. I think both teams would take. Oh, well, I wouldn't mind the draw, to be honest. It's not that the end of the world for us.
Would you be on a scale of 1 to 10? How bad would a loss be for you? Would you say not that bad, right? Like a 5, maybe, just because
Yeah,
it's a loss.
but as you said, we've got a difficult month ahead. We can't start off this month with a loss. I would take a loss in between, like in the month, like maybe
Who are the other matches that I forget? You already played Lazio, correct? So you don't have to worry about
we've
that
got
one.
Roma next in the Coppa Italia, which I'm guessing we're gonna rotate in
You're
that.
gonna get the most. That's like the typical Mourinho game. Like, would you be shocked if you lost that one?
No, no, I wouldn't.
Oh yeah, and then it's Napoli,
Yeah,
Liverpool, Sassuolo, and then I mean Genoa's easy. Yeah, so it's really you just get past February 20th, and
yeah. And I said if we're still top by the end of this period, this February period, then I think yeah, the
oh,
title
it's
is
so I
ours.
think it's over. Like even the last month, that's nothing, man. That's nothing. That's easy for you guys.
Yeah. Now I'm
April's like a little
expecting
bit.
Lautaro to make up for his mistake last time round. I feel like Lautaro's got some making up to do for his missed penalty and missed chances from last time round. Come on, Lauti.
He's such a good overall player, but that finishing is like it would drive me mad. He annoys me when I watch Argentina because I love Messi because I want to see Leo win the World Cup. If like like USA is not going to win it, so like it's and Italy probably won't. I think you know if he ever just gets the consistent finishing, I think he's the best forward in the league. I
Yeah,
think he's
but it's
already up
a big
there.
if though. It's not an easy thing to iron
Well,
out.
that's the thing though, right? Like if he can't already do the easier finishes, then when would that happen? Because he's already in his mid 20s. So I mean, but he scores some
But he's
bangers.
young. He's still young for a striker.
That as well. That as well.
What are you saying for scoreline then? Give me one. Give me one
Score.
scoreline.
All right. So like I said, 2-0 if Brahim lineup is out there. 1-1 if Kessie's in.
Cool. So yeah, I guess we're both going for a draw pretty much then, I guess I would say. I think Kessie is gonna start. I think I believe the Kessie rumors about him starting. But yeah, thank you very much, Martino, for
Of
coming on. That was
course.
very
No problem.
insightful, very good preview there. Anything you want to plug before going, bro?
Yeah, proper football, like I say all the time for work. At PF 1:37 p.m., we like to profile a lot of younger players now. Like Endrick is one of those top Brazilian talents. He plays at
Hmm.
Palmeiras. Just other guys like Jonathan David and stuff like that. I'm sure we're gonna both be in the market for younger forwards and strikers. Skamaka, I don't believe we're gonna be in on him. I don't think we could afford that, so I think that he's going to enter.
Hmm.
But it's stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. I appreciate everyone who follows and goes and checks out the work. It would mean a lot. Um, and then, yeah, there's going to be more betting pieces coming out with the work with the Athletics soon, Champions League stuff, because the league bets are kind of useless. Outside, this is Serie A is the closest like top 5 league in terms of title races. The rest are pretty much wrapped up. I don't see how Real Madrid, City, PSG, or Bayern lose it, and even then, Inter have ridiculous odds to win. So don't forget that. If you lose, you guys were heavy favorites. Thank you for the NFT lessons. Yeah, no problem, no problem. But yeah, thank you for having me on, Storms. Always great talking. You do great work, so I appreciate it. Always a big supporter of yours, and yeah,
No, thank you. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate your work, and especially yeah, follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow on Twitter. Follow
thank
at
you.
PF137 on Twitter. Get that Gary V blue check, and yeah, thank you everyone that tuned in. Very active live chat, live stream chat. I appreciate everyone. Make sure you guys are leaving a thumbs up before you leave, and yeah, We'll see you tomorrow for the post-match reaction on this channel. Hopefully, a positive one for me and a negative one for
If you want to
Martino.
come on the halftime spaces,
Oh
if you
yeah, yeah,
want,
yeah. Let me
want,
see. Yeah, yeah,
co-host with it. I don't know what your emotions will be like, but if you want to.
yeah. It depends. It depends. But let me know tomorrow. Ciao, ragazzi. Forza Inter.